Hey good looking, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Merry Christmas. This is the last day of the 25 days of Christmas, and I couldn't think of a better way to end it than predicting the 2022 makeup trends. So my understanding is the makeup trends, kind of the pendulum swings the other way. So we've seen it go from Instagram baddie look to now we're like au naturel, the no makeup is in. And so I'm curious to predict what I think specifically eyeshadows are going to do in 2022. So if you guys are interested, I'm going to give you guys 5 key indicators that I think are going to be trends for 2022's eyeshadows. I think number 1, we are going to see more IP collabs and more meaningless IP collabs. We saw earlier this year the NBA ColourPop collab, pretty much meaningless. Pretty much you only have to be an NBA fan to want any of this stuff, and if you are, you're probably not into makeup. So these are meaningless collabs. Who the target audience is, we'll never know. That's the type of collabs I think we're going to see. We're going to see the rise of these types of collabs, and also that brings up my second point. I think we are going to see the bubble burst on these collabs in 2022. So we're going to see the rise, which is already happening here in 2021, and we're going to see the fall of it in 2022. So we're all of a sudden going to see like nobody's collaborating anymore. Small Instagrammers, small influencers, big influencers, nobody's going to be collaborating anymore. And I don't say like, oh, it's never going to happen ever again, but I'm saying it's going to die down. That's my prediction anyways, because the pendulum always swings the other way, and we've been just inundated and hit hard over and over and over again with a lot of these collaborations that I keep hearing over and over, well, this is a wonderful palette, but I don't know who this influencer is. And so we are constantly, you know, potentially buying makeup from somebody we don't know if our values align with theirs or not, and their goals, do they align with ours or not? We don't really know us. We don't know these people, right? And I think people are going to take a step back and see that and recognize that, and they're probably not going to be as likely to purchase because we have a super saturation of makeup that's already flooding the market. And so you don't have to buy so-and-so's palette because this brand also put this basically this same color story out. So people are going to be, you know, very choosy, very picky, and we will see, I think, the fall. That brings me up to my third predictor, and that is we are going to see more, and this is drilling into the actual, not the 90,000 foot overview, but this is drilling down into the actual eyeshadow palettes themselves. We're going to see more texture. We saw it from Huda Beauty, we saw it from Danessa Myricks, we were given a little sneak peek in Natasha Denona's Trio Chrome. We're going to see more multi-chromes pop up in palettes. We're going to see more textures pop up into palettes. Though we're already kind of seeing it. Lorac launched earlier this year the Fairy Tale Forest palette, and it had a couple of topper shades along with other types of shimmers, a little bit of a dual chrome, that kind of thing. We're going to be seeing more of that. I don't think that that's here to stay. People want the same shadow in a different formula. I'm convinced of it. I have convinced myself of it. I want the champagne, and I want every single formula of that champagne that's going to make my, you know, beautiful blue eyes even more beautiful, right? That's what we're going to see. So that brings me up to my fourth predictor, and that is that we are going to see, and this was also with the help, it's not just that I made this up myself, but I also kind of consulted my friends in this, you know, so thank you so much, Stephen Ford, for this one. But we are going to see increasingly more and more tacky color stories. So we're going to see color stories with matte shadows that don't make sense. So you would basically just have to apply that one matte shadow over the lid and then maybe go to another palette to get the shimmer that you want, the duochrome that you want, the multichrome that you want, right? Or the liquid eyeshadow that you want. We're not going to see cohesive color stories as much. We've already seen this in Lethal when they launched that Berlin palette. I know that this is the fall of the Berlin wall, but you see that primary color story, right? That red, yellow, and blue. That's very, very difficult and very harsh to work with. Although I will say, essentially, you have every single shade you could ever dream of in that palette. Do they have a white? Well, maybe they have almost every shade, but you get what I'm saying. there's a lot of mixing that can be done and creating of looks like that. But unless you are somebody who's skilled in that artistry and you know a lot about color theory and you're willing to work with a formula that's, you know, maybe possibly fairly new to you, we're going to be seeing some unusually tacky color stories. And I think that, I mean, the pendulum's already like, so I think we're going to see some more of those. They're going to get uglier. They're going to get like, I'm predicting we're going to get a lot of reviews that are like, I put these two shades together because I thought they might mix okay, and they didn't. And that's a huge predictor I'm seeing. And I think people are going to be like, what are these color stories? I don't, you know, it's just not going to be for everybody. And we're already kind of seeing that, and I think it's going to continue into 2022 because remember, we are super saturated. So now we not only have these, you know, color stories, but we have to be so far out there to catch our eye because everything's been done before, everything's been seen before, everything's been, you know, if you release a neutral palette, it's not likely to catch anybody's eye anymore because we've got about 1,817 of them that currently exist on the market that you could buy. Just kidding. But anyways, additional tacky color stories that will blend to a muddy mess. That's my predictor. Brings me up to predictor number 5. Came up with this all on my own, but I've already seen it once from one brand. They are moving to removable pans, and that is my predictor. We're going to see some more brands who are switching over to that. So ColourPop does it. Now Lorac is putting out pro palettes that do that. So with that in mind, Natasha Denona is putting that. My prediction within the number 5 predictor is, I bet you anything Pat McGrath jumps on that bandwagon, because unless I understand this incorrectly and she bakes the formula in the actual palette itself, we're going to see her baking her formulas, putting them into pans, and they're going to be removable. I think she's going to jump on that trend. She's started to become very redundant in her you know, mothership palettes. We've already seen the last 3 motherships, although very, very incredibly beautiful, have very similar color stories. And although I think there is a market for that and there are a lot of consumers that really appreciate that, there's also a huge market that she's not harnessing. And that is, you know, project panners, people who really like their own color stories and really like to mix and match those color stories. Hello, me. And we're going to see more of those people come and rise to the surface, and with that we're going to see these people purchasing palettes kind of in lieu of, you know, that whole package deal. It's like, I can get a magnetic palette, I can get all the single shadows I need, and now I can make whatever palette I want however I need to make it. So I think that's going to be something that is going to enter the market, and we're going to see more of it. So we've got ColourPop, we've got Natasha Denona, we've got Lorac now, and many, many others. You can either, you know, unglue those pans like Anastasia Beverly Hills. It wouldn't surprise me if they also trended that direction where you can just pop out the pans, and a few others. So I'm surprised a few of the makeup artist brands like Makeup by Mario or Patrick Ta don't already do that. Maybe they do and we just don't know it yet. I don't own any of those, so if you guys own them and know that they're magnetic or that they just easily pop out, let me know. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the 25 days of Christmas. I can't wait to see you guys in the new year. Bye. Oh, happy holidays.